Well, hello, Fiona. I'm so excited to speak with you today and share your story. Would you mind introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, of course. Well, excited to be here and thanks for all of your help, Danielle. I'm Fiona and I am a senior marketing leader that's been doing marketing for about 18 years now and love marketing. It's my passion. I love connecting a really good product and a solution to customers and helping people find that need. And so I've been in various marketing positions, campaign creation, marketing operations, brand management, and communications throughout my 18 years in a variety of SaaS and financial services, and really just embracing sort of the different aspects of marketing and the changing aspects of marketing, and have been loving what I've done. So it's been a really, really good journey so far.
Nice. What a wonderful introduction. And I'd love if you could share a little bit about what was going on when we met, you and I.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I was in a stage in my career where I was in a, senior leadership position at a company, and we were, a startup. And so I was doing a lot of the different marketing initiatives that the company was putting together, and we were really pushing hard to grow the business. And so alongside that came many hours. And, what started out as sort of a 40-hour work commitment became 45, 55, 60, 65, and it just kept growing. And I was finding myself in a cycle where, if I didn't work those hours in a week, I would feel guilty, work would pile up, and it was just getting really hard to have a good work-life balance. And so, this happened for really a better part of 2 years. And it got to a point where I wasn't burnt out yet, but I was getting there and I was very close to that. And there were times where work felt like work and it didn't feel like my passion anymore. And so, with that, I was starting to see the signs and I felt like I needed to make a change. And that's where I reached out and you and I started talking, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, and we're going to get to that really soon. But I'd love to learn more about like what was going on. Had you started your job search when we met? Like what, how was that going?
Yeah. I was looking in actively and sort of in passing. Working those long hours, it didn't leave a lot of room for job search. And so I would apply here and there, like very sporadically, if I saw a position that came up. And so the commitment and the numbers weren't there, I would say. But anytime I applied, I mean, the hit rates were not amazing, right? We were, going into an economy where people were losing their jobs. There was a lot of layoffs that were happening. And I was finding with the companies that I was talking to, they were either not really the positions that I wanted after chatting with the recruiters. Maybe, the compensation wasn't there and what I was looking for. It just like wasn't the right fit. And so, you couple that with not spending a lot of time to actually apply jobs, the response rates weren't there. And so it was just really tough to be able to find time, but also, get out of this cycle. And yeah, it was very frustrating at certain times.
Mm. So, what changed once we started working together?
Yeah. I think for me, it was a commitment to myself. And so, what was really good was we have this program where you've got these six sessions, and every session there were sort of milestones that we had to hit, right? And I had to send you things, you would send back things to me, and so there was a lot of back and forth, and it was forcing myself to commit to this thing that we had to do to help make a change. It's very easy, I think, to sit there and like complain and be like, oh, this isn't what I wanted, but I don't have the time to do this. But now all of a sudden I'm accountable for these things that I have to do, and I have to send you, my resume, and there was a lot of back and forth. So I think there was the commitment piece and just knowing, hey, like I've done this, I've contacted Danielle, I have these time frames that I have to meet, I have to do it. So that was number one. And number two, the resume sort of editing and all of that, I think really helped. You and I had chatted. I had, going into this, felt fairly good about my resume. and obviously the background and the experiences that I was offering. But I don't think it was presented in a way that helped me get noticed. And when you came back with sort of that first draft, I saw sort of like night and day. And the essence of what my resume was still me, but the way it was positioned and branded was very different. And I think we, brought a lot of the highlights up front. And, I took a step back and I said, as a hiring manager, like this is what I would want. I don't want to go through pages and pages of stuff. I want to see what qualifications a candidate has off the bat. And if I'm interested, I'm going to keep reading. So I think that made a lot of difference, is just having those concrete tools to be able to get out there and like get recruiters to like notice you and start having those conversations early on.
Yeah, that's so good because your resume, it was not like as I recall, it was probably an 8 out of 10, right? It wasn't completely broken and there was some good elements from it, but it's kind of hard to see, right? Until you see what we can do to make it a 10, right? It's hard to understand some of the elements that go into really branding yourself and in a way that's going to generate interest for you as a candidate for the exact type of role that you want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What else did you want to share? Like, what else came out of the program? And maybe you can actually share what ended up happening because ultimately you did get the new role that you were seeking. So maybe tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I think right around the same time, as we were going through the program and going through the different stages, I was also interviewing for a position, and you were really good to sort of support me throughout the whole process. I know you and I were sort of in conversations even outside of our sessions via email. But I, was going through the stages of an interview, and ultimately it was like a 4-step interview process. There was a lot that was going on, but I ended up getting the role that I wanted. And I would say sort of the two biggest things for me was being able to, start a new role that in sort of a position that I'm excited about. I mentioned my background is in marketing, but marketing operations has really been where my passion has been. And, I talk a lot about this with some of my other conversations that I have, is like taking the data and the analytics piece and the process side and like kind of pushing that into the marketing and like marrying it with effective messaging and campaign, but being able to like really create a streamlined process like that for me is really interesting. And I love like sort of looking into that and like finding new ways to make processes more efficient. So this new role is going to give me the opportunity to do that. So I'm super excited about it. The second aspect of it is the sort of mission the company stands for. It's in healthcare, so I'm really excited about healthcare and like the ability for the technology and the software that they're building to really make an impact on both patients and families' lives. Last year, I went through sort of some family members who had to be in the hospital in and out, and I saw some of the challenges with healthcare and better ways to improve what that experience would look like. And this company is doing that. So I'm really excited about it. And the obviously with any process, it takes time. But I think ultimately the message I want to put out there is if you feel like it's time to make a change, it's probably time to make a change. And it's really hard to take that first step. It's very easy to just sit there and find excuses of why you're not going to make that change. But you'll find once you take that first step, it gets easier and things might take time, but it'll work out in the end. And so, a message to sort of like future job seekers, if you're feeling stuck in your job, that you have to make that first move in order for things to start happening. It won't get handed to you, but it will be an easier process once you get started.
Yeah, that's such a good message, right? Because I think a lot of people find themselves in that spot where they're in a role that they're not loving, that's not really aligned with their true passions. And they stay there because, yeah, it's like a bit of a treadmill, right? They're working so much, so many hours, and then it makes it very difficult to carve out the time to be able to, put an active job search together. So I love that you shared that it's important, right? Like to take some action and really be proactive in pursuing what you're looking for. And I was looking at the dates as well. in terms of how this all happened for you. I mean, it was less than 60 days from our first conversation, no, from our first session, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, that you were able to land that offer. So, congratulations. I'm super, super excited for you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And again, just you've been great and so supportive throughout the whole process. I think a lot of times, like people just they're afraid to take that first step because they don't know how to navigate through it. And I think, you've been really good about helping to like provide some clarity and visibility around like what to expect next. The unknown is always scary, right? And it's a lot easier to be in the position you're in right now and like hope it gets better and like hope that maybe I'll stick it out for a little bit longer and like things will change. And I think the easiest thing to be able to do is to take control and change when you want it to change. And so I think having your sort of help and like providing and guiding through the process has been good, and also just knowing that you can be in control of your own destiny.
Nice. I wanted to ask you too, like, did you have any hesitations before signing up for the program? I mean, it's an investment, it's not insignificant. Um, any hesitations, and what sort of was the deciding factor for you to move forward?
1,000%. I think if you will remember, you and I chatted actually a little bit earlier, a couple of weeks earlier before our first session. And I said we had our first talk, and then I said I wasn't ready. Let's connect back in a couple of weeks. And I really thought about it. And I want to say, like, there were times where I'm like, I think I can do this on my own. Like, it is an investment in both like money and time, right? Like I said, like it's not like you pay for this and then like you don't have to do anything. You have to invest in yourself as well and carve out that time. So I was hesitant because I didn't know if I'd be able to find that time. Like it just felt like there was a lot going on already with my job. So it took some time, but like I really sat back and I thought about it and I said, is this where I want to be in 6 months or a year? Or is 6 months or a year going to pass? And then I'm going to be like, man, I really wish I had done this 6 months ago. And I didn't want to sit back and like be in the same spot I was in 6 months ago. Like that really bothered me. Truth be told, I also was talking to a friend about it, and my friend really understood the frustration I was feeling in sort of my work life balance. And he said the same thing. He was just like, if you don't do this now, like you're not going to do this. Like, let's get on it. And like, he made me sit there and we're having a conversation. He's like, promise me next time when we catch up, like, you've booked this thing with the career coach and you're going to start to have that conversation. And then, knowing me, I was just like, well, I'm not going to back down on a promise or a challenge. Like now it's out there. It's not just me internally. Like I've said it to somebody and like they're going to call me out on it if I don't do it. And so, that's when you and I got in conversations again. I'd reach back out and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Let's get started and let's go.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know a lot of people sort of um, have those concerns, right? And what a great question to ask yourself. If I don't do this, right, where am I going to be 6 months from now? That's a great question, and it can help to make some decisions for sure. Is there anything else that you'd love to share?
No, I think that's it. For anybody who is in this process and kind of struggling internally to figure out what they want to do next, I would say, have a conversation with you, obviously, and you were great in sort of even at our first session or consultation session, but just really think about where you are and if this is, where you want to be. And if it's not, it's in you only to make that change and nobody else is going to do it for you. So it's tough, but I guarantee you that feeling when you do get the job offer, especially in a market like this, is going to be super rewarding and you're going to wish you had done it sooner. So I would just say for anybody out there, like highly, highly encourage you to, do what you need to do and get out there and start making changes for yourself.
Nice. And was there anything about the program that surprised you that was really helpful?
I think just like the resume
Yeah.
building part. Like you said, like I felt like going in, I was like, the resume is pretty strong. Like I'm highlighting all of my, achievements and strengths. And then when I saw what you guys had come back with, I was like, huh, interesting. Like this is exactly still what I had said, but just in a different way and highlighted it a different way. And so like, what I mentioned, I still felt like the resume I have today is still very much me. It's just presented in a very different way. And I was really happy to see that.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Fiona. Really appreciate it. And I am super excited for this next role that you're starting really soon. I have no doubt that you're going to do amazing. And yeah, I really appreciate the work that we did together. And I wish you all the best and I want to stay in touch.
Absolutely. Likewise. Thank you again for all of your support and highly, highly recommend, what you do with other people who are in similar situations.